Hi, Christophe. How are you doing today?
Andrea, I'm fine, and you?
All good, all good. Okay, welcome to Clojure Corner. And before we will start, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you for having me. So I'm Christophe Grand. I'm a French software developer. I've been working in Clojure since almost forever. Uh, and so I'm currently working at a small company which is called Tensagretics, and we are just two two consultants at Tensagretics. And I'm mainly working nowadays on Clojure Dart as open source effort. And yeah, I think that's about all.
Okay, okay. So when you said since forever, I was checking, and you started at Clojure something like 16 years ago, right? So it's since the beginning, maybe.
Yeah, I think that the first public release of Clojure was in November or something like that. It was at the end of I don't remember which year, but I discovered Clojure the spring right after, so in March or something like that. So Clojure hasn't been public for more than six months top when I start using Clojure, and it was somehow love at first sight
Yeah.
because there are some features like the person data structures. That's something that I was already looking for without knowing the word.
Yes.
Persistent. To me, persistent at the
Persistent.
time was definitely tied to databases, not to. So when I tried to research papers about this kind of data structure, I failed to find the good ones.
Yeah.
And it was really great to find a language which has the features that I've dreamed of. And then I kicked the tires, discovered that the guy behind had a lot of knowledge to and wisdom to share. So yeah.
Yes. What were you using before?
Before I was using JavaScript and Java.
Hmm.
Actually, I was uh, when when I discovered Clojure, I've just been pretty badly burned out by developing a server in JavaScript with
Uh-huh.
Rhino on the Java on the JVM, and at the time using a very a very mutable language on the JVM with with shared memory concurrency. It was a total hell.
Yeah.
We never managed to stabilize the application correctly, but yeah, I was
Yes.
I was doing JavaScript on the server before Node, and so I really wanted to go back to something more functional because I
Hmm.
had past OCaml experience, and yeah, I find in Clojure a mix that really fit the way I thought about problems,
Yes.
especially
Yes.
with the
I
data orientation. So
I think there are people who really think the same way as Clojure is thinking, but Clojure is very flexible, so it helps you. It lets you frame things in in different ways, right? Different developers in Java, you are kind of expected to arrive at similar solutions, while in Clojure you might end up with completely different solutions. Also, so you have been co-author of a book. You contributed to Clojure.
yeah,
You are building applications in Clojure in your consultancy, and at the same time, you are a language builder, library builder. Like, how would you see your identity? What you are in this matter?
uh, I first see me as a developer. I really like working with small teams, and especially directly with the clients, trying to solve actual solutions and trying to find somehow the cheapest option for them, both in terms of complexity and not trying to bring all the things that we tend to focus on, and not trying to build Facebook for a team of 10 trainers and so on. So that's I really like this part of the job of discussing with the owners and trying to find the actual solutions, and not trying to dig very deep into the technology stack. And at the same time, I'm also a grumpy developer. I tend to look at a lot of things and practices that we have, and mutter and say, and wonder whether there's something simpler. There should be something
Yeah.
simpler. When I see some big code bases for some backend application which are just doing some marshalling, taking receiving messages, putting them in Postgres, and then sending them over to the browser, and then you have multiple changes of representation from JSON to IDEN to relational. It in the end, there are lot of lines, and it's just busy work, just
Yes.
moving. Just moving from one representation to another, and sometimes libraries make things worse. Excuse me, makes libraries make things worse because they require you to put the data in a certain shape, and then
Yes.
you add extra transformation back and forth, and that that's really something
Yes.
that bothers me.
Yeah. I think Clojure is better in this because for multiple reasons. I would say, like, first, if you were working in Java, you try to hide all the data within objects.
Yeah,
So when you want two objects to have access to the same data, you have to send the data, right? It's a tell, don't ask. So you send the data to other object. Also, Clojure promotes using just a few basic data structures, which means that you might build a couple of functions, like high order functions that extend those basic data structures, and you can keep using those high order functions for the rest of your life.
yeah,
Because still, okay, it's on vectors. So if it works on vectors, you can keep using it on all uses of vectors across all your applications, which is not common in other languages. Yes, there is a lot of reasons to be grumpy developer. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, are there more things you are grumpy about?
Hmm. Not that I can think of, but otherwise to give you a full answer, apart from being grumpy, I'm also a kind of dabbler. I really like to try to build something just to see what it's going to produce. What if I
Yeah.
try to build a templating system which uses selectors, and I get in live, and
Yes.
things like that. And
Yes.
there are some open source endeavors which started just with a what if. Some were
Yes.
driven by the actual need of the job, but some were just experiments.
Yeah. And I can see that you are doing experiments on all parts of the stack because in life and even it's templating, right? Then
Yeah,
X forms is something only Clojure developers will understand and not all of them will use. And then you have Clojure Dart, which is like building the ecosystem generally.
Yeah.
And so it seems to me that you are a developer, you are grumpy app developer. It seems to me also like ecosystem builder, because you are not afraid of using your own things, right?
Yeah.
So, so when you come to the situation where you are building an application, how to approach this? Like, when do you say, okay, let's use something that exists, or let's build something from scratch, and so on?
Uh, I try to first create a kind of fake or mock-up application, which is just moving data, having some maps describing the various entities, and getting a feeling of how things are going to work. And then I add libraries as I need to, but I never go straight into a project and saying, okay, we are going to use I don't know, Mali or or pedestal or what.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
and that's something that I really liked and I still like about Clojure is the way that it emphasizes on data. And it's somehow what you said earlier, that it's less words than in Java.
yes.
Eh, and I remember at one of the first training that I gave about Clojure, telling that Clojure really put the focus on data, and it's important because most of the time the data is going to to survive to your application. There is when you get a message about the network, it's data. And then you are going to send data somewhere else to the database or to another machine. And it's data in, data out. And we tend to focus too much on the mechanism which handle the data and not enough on the data itself. And so making clear that it's data first and software second and not the opposite was refreshing to me.
Yes, yes. And this data centric, and also the most importantly, just having a few basic data structures
Yeah,
enables the flow you have. That like you probably don't have like a preferred framework. I will always use these libraries, which is common in JavaScript. In Java, you usually end up using some big framework, right?
yeah,
Uh, so it can like modify those data structures for you in a way, like it is automatically passed and compatible. In Clojure, it's all basic data structures, so it's not a problem that you use different libraries because you will always get list, vector,
yeah,
set, map, and that's it. But for example, in JavaScript, it's a problem because JavaScript is encapsulating, building objects, so you end up
yeah,
getting the data from objects and putting them to objects. So dev stacks in JavaScript are tied with this data deserialization, serialization, not in Clojure. Or let's say transformations are quite like minimal. And if we speak about applications you are building, what are usual types of applications you work on?
I have done my share of backend application
Mhm.
using Kafka or Spark and so on. But in recent history, I've mostly done mobile apps
Mhm.
and some very simple web apps. Like I said, for some simple clients.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's not trying to. I'm not trying to say something bad about them. It's just that they are not sophisticated in the sense that they are not sensible to technology, and they just want a tool that works and solve their problem. And that's really the a kind of people that I like to work with because they don't have opinions on how things should work and so on.
Yes, yes. If you are building a single page application, what is your philosophy around those things?
If I can, I will avoid too. But yeah, most of the time I try to use things like ah sorry, I forgot the name. The HTMX,
Yes.
things like that are more are closer to what I like to create simple application.
Yeah.
And if really I need to do a real application, I think I would definitely consider doing a desktop app using a Clojure Dart or something like that,
Yes. Yes.
rather
And
than
Flutter.
rather trying to shoehorn into the browser. But sometimes you don't have a word in that, and the client wants a SPA. The app has to be rich and work in the browser.
So is there any reason why you couldn't use Flutter and Clojure Dart to build web applications, especially like for example internal systems, ERPs?
For for internal systems, it would definitely be a possibility. Uh, I'm not I'm not very convinced yet about using it on uh, on the web for for a regular app, but I think it's my grumpy persona again, and having the browser being turned into an application delivery platform i- is at odds with what the browser used to be and the versatility of the tool.
Yes.
And now there are more and more stuff rendered in a canvas and so on. And so you lose accessibility, or accessibility needs to be reinvented on top of that. And so, yeah, somehow the second browser war turned a document browser into an application delivery platform. So,
All right. All right.
and it's getting
But
worse with WASM.
uh,
But
yes, yes. It's getting more interesting. It wasn't. But at the same time, we might be losing a little bit of like ability to look into the source code.
yeah, the source code, the hypermedia nature is going out of the window too, and we are more and more dealing with just a kind of TV which plays app and
Yes.
not something allowing to browse the web and discover stuff. We are just siloing more and more. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. So there is this like pendulum that has swung a couple of times over decades.
yeah,
Software development exists where initially everything was a huge mainframe and very lightweight terminals.
yeah,
And then we have got personal computers, which became powerful enough. So we got rich applications. These were times of Delphi and Pascal. Then we got smartphones that were not fast enough, so we got back on servers and server-side programming, right?
yeah,
Then probably $100 billion was invested to make JavaScript fast, and billions of dollars spent to make phones fast. So we got this back, and now we are like trying to have AI and things which on phones. phones will never be, or never, it's hard to say it, but
Yeah.
like phones in upcoming decade will not be fast enough to run a model that's as fast or as powerful as GPT-5, let's say.
Mhm.
So we are swinging back because we will rely on certain features on servers. And you are right, like streaming applications, returning the logic back on server. It always had a reason, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yes, this is definitely happening. But I feel that you are more a backend developer, so it might be helping you in a way.
Maybe.
Yes, yes. Now, if we have touched Clojure Dart, what are the ideal use cases for Clojure Dart?
Well, my ideal use case for ClojureDart is basically people who are already comfortable with Clojure and want to go into writing a rich app, whether it's on mobile or desktop or even web. Uh, I know last week someone contacted me because they were building an internal tool with it and so on. So yeah, it's mostly about enabling you to use your Clojure skill, the
Yes.
way the way you think, and just having to discover and learn a new ecosystem.
Yeah.
And even then, we have a set of helpers which spare you from learning many intricacies and many classes that you would have to if you were doing Flutter with Dart. So
Yeah. By the way, what is Clojure Dart's design philosophy compared
oh
to Clojure and ClojureScript, let's say?
yeah, so the ClojureDart at first wasn't my idea. It was Baptiste Dupuch's idea. Then together we started the project and we really tried to keep true to the core design philosophy of Clojure of not hiding the underlying platform. And so interop is very important to us, and it's certainly it's in, it's mostly in interop that you are going to see differences between Clojure Dart and Clojure JVM or Clojure Script. But somehow it's to be expected because they are the parts of the platform, and there's no good way of papering about the differences between the JVM and the Dart VM.
Yes. Yes. Now,
So
what about interoperability? Does it make like any influence on how you have to design the language?
yeah, definitely because well, we are lucky that Dart has a bit of contraried history. It first started with strong dynamic influences, and you can see some things coming from small tools like the missing method and so on. And Gilad Braka was on the team. And then as it matured, they tend to remove the more dynamic features to get something which could be more efficiently compiled and where tree shaking would work easily and so on. So we were still lucky to have some affordances left from the dynamic past, but one piece of interrupt that caused some head scratching at first was how to pass a Clojure vector to as a list to a Dart library. The thing is that unlike Java, the generics in Dart are not erased. So if you have a list of strings in Java, under the hood, it's just a list of objects, but not in Dart. It's still at runtime a list of strings. So you have to placate the compiler and make it thinks at least it has not a vector but a list of strings or whatever it expects. And so we have a thing that we call magical sting, which is when we see that the library expects a list of string and that we have a vector, we call cast on the vector, cast being a method, cast string, and then it returns a vector of strings.
Yes.
In fact, it's just the root object. We change only the shape or only the type of the root object change. It's still the same shared data structure underneath. So at this time, you better really have strings in your vector because otherwise you'll get errors later. But we are just changing the root to lie to the Dart compiler.
Mhm.
And so it was one piece of interrupt which was very important to us to still have this feeling of dynamism that we've got with Clojure, not having to cast all the time to get stuff correct.
Yes. Yes. How did you implement that in Clojure Dart? You are using data structures that resemble Clojure data structures, but still you can pass them into Dart libraries that know nothing about Clojure.
Well, it's the same situation that in Clojure JVM. The standard library of Dart defines interfaces for lists, for maps, for sets. And so we implemented on ClojureDart data structures the same interfaces.
Mhm.
Only the read part, all the white parts are going to throw an exception saying that it's not supported. But yes, you can just pass a vector as a Dart list in the same way that you can pass a vector as a Java list.
Yes. Yes. And if the library is just calling methods, you still get back Clojure Dart data structure, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Which is really good. Uh, what is the current status of Clojure Dart? Are there any missing parts, or is it production
The-
ready,
Well,
or both?
there have been apps in production for years now, and so yes, it's production ready, even if there are some pieces which are missing, but the gap is becoming smaller. One one big missing piece for a long time has been multi-methods because I don't use them much, and with the way multi-methods interact with the type system and constraints specific to Dart with the type system, we postponed implementing them for a long time. And so we started implementing them, but still we don't allow interoperability with the Dart type system. You can't use with multi-method yet, but you can use multi-method with keywords and any kind of value
Mhm.
as one does most of the time in Clojure. So the gap is closing on multi-methods. The REPL is something that we are actively working on. Um, plus, the REPL that we are working on will be a mix between a REPL and an inspector.
Yeah.
When you connect to the REPL, you have special commands allowing you to pick a widget, and then the REPL will run in the context of this widget, so that you will be able to redefine the widget from the REPL to replace it. You will be able to inspect his lexical environment and so on. So that's what we are working on. Plus,
Yes.
and there are many missing things which I'd like the community to tackle, because we don't have enough time to support to do it ourselves, and like a better support with Condo, for example,
Yes.
or yeah, porting more libraries and so on.
Yes.
But
It's
mostly we just need more people trying and complaining,
yeah,
because
it's you and Baptiste who are building it, right? It's
yeah,
the it's there is around 30 contributors on GitHub, but
yeah,
you and Baptiste did like 99% of all commits to ClojureDart.
yeah, the contributors were always on a specific topic, a patch or something, but no ongoing contribution.
If someone wanted to start contributing to ClojureDart, how can this person try, or how to start?
Well, start by saying I on the ClojureDart channel,
Hmm.
and we'll see what you want to work on, and find a way to make it happen.
Hmm. All right, all right. Besides ClojureDart, you worked on, or ClojureDart is using Flutter. You were working on it and live. So you have spent some time working with also front-end libraries, front-end
Yeah,
templating. Now, one topic I would like to ask you. So you have libraries that represent, for example, HTML as data, like Hiccup. And then you have libraries that are not trying to replace HTML with data structures, like Selmer, which is basically mustache syntax. Each has its advantages and disadvantages. Like Hiccup is 100 times more powerful, right? Because you can do anything. It's just a data structure. While Selmer can do only things it supports and nothing else. Um, but each has its advantages and disadvantages. What do you think are like pros and cons of different approaches when building applications in Clojure, ClojureScript, ClojureDart, and you need to do this front end part?
yeah. Well, the thing is basically the question of specialization, and how large is the team. Well, a team can be large in two ways. There can be multiple people which can uh, they can be how to put it. They can be A team can be either somehow serial or parallel. So in the serial case, you have specialization,
Yes.
and if you want specialization, you have to have some clear boundaries. And here, having a representation like HTML is good. And initially, it was why I created NLive. It was because I was dealing with a web developer which was sending me HTML files, and I just wanted to inject the behavior in
Yeah.
the HTML without having to rely on anything else, just asking him to preserve some class names or IDs and so on. And but at the same time, if you have a parallel team where more people work independently on different topic, maybe something a bit like 37 signals advertised in ShapeUp, a team of 2 or 3. Then maybe in this setup where one feature is only going to be implemented by a small team, then
Yes.
having everything happening in the same environment, in the same ecosystem, is better and more empowering for them. But it really depends on how you are spreading the load, whether it's sequential and the parallel is the best I can find at the moment. But I don't know if you get the idea.
Yeah, it requires true full stack developers who can do the whole thing, right? From the
Yeah.
UI through some designing APIs, consuming APIs, all the way down to database.
Yeah.
But when you use ClojureDart and Flutter, it's the same, isn't it? Like, I doubt there are people, I am doing Flutter, but I am not going to touch any Dart or ClojureDart.
Yeah.
All Flutter users are also ClojureDart or Dart developers, which is similar to how Delphi was used, for example. I doubt there was ever Delphi developer who said, I'm not touching the UI part.
Yeah.
Only the yes, yes. It might be connected to the point that UI is now more complex than it used to be. Um, and there are plenty of good reasons to be grumpy about it.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know if UIs are really more complex than they used to be.
Mhm.
Uh, eh, it's maybe more that we are trying, well, that we are trying to please a wider audience.
Yes,
If you consider the UIs of the late 90s, you have MDI, you have MDI documents, and you have button bars and so on. But it was very basic, and you had to know and read and understand a lot of things. And nowadays, you have grandmas using their smartphone every day. They wouldn't have been able to use a computer back in the early aughts. I
yes,
know my mother
yeah.
didn't. My mother is 87, and she never managed to use a mouse.
Oh,
The
really?
coordination between the movement of the hand and the cursor, the indirection between
Yes,
the hand and pointer, it never worked. And since her first iPad, she's totally onto it, because there's the immediate feeling of manipulation. And also because I believe that UI have become more complex, because you have to provide more affordances to the
yeah,
user, be it a small animation, small cues and feedbacks on how things are going to work, and yeah, uh, and this is somehow a path that with Baptiste we traveled for the last 2 years, realizing that between a core idea with a feature and from a software developer, you say, okay, the app is done. We have done it. There are all the features. And getting a finished product,
Mhm.
you at first you may be disparaging about the changes which are required to make a finished product with a modern UI. But in fact, it's a lot of small interaction and small things that make the difference. And maybe it was the kind of things that in the 90s, for example, made the difference between classic macOS and Windows. Just paying more attention to the details.
Yes.
The details have changed nowadays, but still, you have to. If you don't pay attention to the details, you've got something which is dry or which may pass for slop.
Yes. Also, applications became significantly more accessible. Like
Yeah,
20 something years ago, I was able to drag and drop 20 screens in Delphi in a day. It was ugly default Windows UI of like Windows 95, Windows 98. It worked only on desktop, and but it was super fast to build such a thing. Now,
yeah,
when we build front-end apps, it works for people who are blind. It works for people who are disabled. It works for people who are on smartphones, tablets. They all get their own interfaces. A big shame semantic web didn't succeed. Everything
yeah.
would be even better for everyone. But yes, it requires additional work, and it's a shame. Anyway, uh, let's not speak about programming all the time. What are you doing when you are not programming?
When I'm not programming, well, I tend of my family. I'm the father of four.
Oh,
Um,
you're blessed.
there's so the from 5 to 15, and plus for the past 3 years, I've been renovating a house,
Mhm.
and we moved in 1 year ago. So there are still things going on, and I enjoy doing the plumbing, drywalls, and so on. I did a lot of it by myself, and yeah, it was refreshing
Uh,
doing something physical.
Yes, yes. Physical. It attracts people, right?
Yeah,
And maybe the garden as well.
not really.
No, not
No,
really. No, it's not.
not the
Okay.
garden for me. But
Uh,
yeah, it's more home improvement, woodworking, and so on.
oh, that's great. Still, how can people support you?
Well, if people want to help us, they can help us on GitHub sponsors, but they can also simply help us by joining ClojureDart and saying trying to build things, or they can also hire us for some consistency app development. We do we can do a lot of things. Um, yeah, basically that they are the main avenue to of supporting us. And yeah, I think that's all.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you for having me.
All right. Let's speak again in the future and have a great
Okay,
day.
you too. Bye.